Hi, Kevin Bandy here. I'm up in Possum Hollow at the J.M. Bailiff Century Farm. Thought I'd take just a moment or two and show you around. Well, here's the front of the house as we come up the road here in Possum Hollow. This house was built in about 1923 by my great-grandfather, Leslie D. Bailiff, and his wife, Amanda Trammell. Grandpa Trammell, whose name was Shade Riley Trammell, passed away, and he left enough funds to my great-grandmother to have the timber cut here on the Bailiff farm and have that milled. And my great-grandfather, D. Bailiff, and his brother-in-law, Uncle Tom Trammell, I believe, were the ones that actually built the home. And my granddad said the siding on the back was made from Tennessee chestnut. And of course, we know that a blight struck the native chestnut trees here in Tennessee, and so that's going to be one of the few examples of native Tennessee chestnut would be the siding on the back of this house. The farm was first settled by my great-grandfather, James Monroe Bailiff. He was a Confederate cavalryman from the Lower Helton area of Alexandria here in DeKalb County. The Bailiff settled these parts from North Carolina in the 1820s down around Temperance Hall. The Bailiffs were a slave-holding family, and of course when war broke out, the Bailiff brothers fought for the Confederacy, and Monroe, of course, was in the cavalry along with his older brother Columbus. Was wounded in battle at the Battle of Chickamauga, and was actually captured a little later. And he and Eliza Foster were married in October 1865, and her dad actually gave them a small colored girl as a wedding gift, a slave to set out in housekeeping. And of course she didn't stay very long, as the war by that time had ended, and the slavery was over, and so she left. And of course Monroe then and Eliza some years later, 1875, is when he came up here and purchased this property and settled in a log house on the north side of the farm. D. Bailiff was born in 1884 and married in 1908 to Amanda Trammell, and of course they built this house here and raised a family, including my grandfather, Charlie Bailiff. Charlie and my grandmother, Codeine Barrett, had my mother, Sandra, here, raised her here, and of course I was raised here a good part of my life. And now I bring my two boys along with my wife, Brenda Jones, and my children are Zachary and Dawson Bandy, and they spend a lot of time here and enjoy the farm as well. This August, this month, the farm will have been continuously in the family 137 years. So we are one of, I believe, 6 century farms in DeKalb County here in Tennessee, and that's something that we are proud of. Leslie D. Bailiff, he lived here until about 1950, when my grandfather bought the farm and took over its operation. D. Bailiff lived for a year or so on Short Mountain with my aunt and uncle, and missed home, and they ended up moving back to the Hollow in a neighboring house just up the road. And that's where they passed away. My great-grandfather died in 1969, and my great-grandmother had died 10 years earlier in 1959. My grandfather, Charlie Bailiff, succumbed from complications of a stroke in 2001, and my grandmother also suffered a stroke and died just a few months later in 2004. My mother was killed in an automobile accident in the summer of 1973, so She had died when I was quite small, and my grandparents did live a number of years after my mother's death, and I did enjoy spending a great deal of time here on the farm with them. But that's just a little background on me, my family, and the J.M. Bailiff Century Farm here in Possum Hollow. Just a second or two, minute or two here just on the house. It was built in about 1923. His grandpa Trammell passed away in 1921. The house was built shortly after his death. His wife, Grandma Trammell, she was Eliza Jones. She lived, I think, till 1931, so she lived 8 or 9 years, or maybe 10 or so after Grandpa Trammell. I'd have to check just to be exactly for sure. But anyway, that's J.M. Bailiff Century Farm here in Possum Hollow.